Hello everybody and welcome back to the Bayonetta 2 walkthrough! So it's time to continue through the depths and hopefully we can save Jeanne. Now, I have to say, Hell is really cool because it morphs and changes and it's just like, ooh, this is interesting. Also, it's either now or very soon that we are going to be introduced to my least favourite enemy in the entire game. And it's, yeah. It's either now or in a little bit, but it is, I hate it so much. Now, one thing I'd like to point out is that I think the music in the fight with Salamandra was called The Raid. It's quite cool. Or just Raid. But I believe now we're in the depths. Johnson Forest. Not quite sure what Johnson Forest means. It seems a little bit odd, if you ask me. But here it is. This little blighter, the swindler of progress, resentment. Quite an accurate title, I think. So, you know that move that it uses just there? That beam? Yeah, you get hit by that. You get turned into little baby Cereza. You can't dodge. If you try to dodge, you trip and fall over. And if he gets you, it's a game over. Yes, there is an enemy that has an instant kill attack. Why would I... Like, let me phrase this properly. I didn't necessarily have a problem with Jubileus in Bayonetta 1 having an instant kill attack because it was the final boss. Nor the secret boss because it's the secret boss. It's still a bit of a dick move, but I'm not gonna freak out over it. What I will freak out over, however, is a regular enemy having an instant kill attack that you have absolutely no way of realising is an instant kill attack. And it just kind of not signalling that at all. And also because it makes it, like, the game makes it actively difficult for you to run away. And, I mean, when I first played the game, I got hit by that beam because I wasn't quite expecting it. And then I tried to dodge and kept tripping and not realising quite what was happening. And it just wasn't a pleasant experience. And obviously if you die then you your rank goes down. It like immediately knocks off a rank. So if you had a gold it immediately knocks you down to a silver. And worst of all is that in getting this second piece of the Golden Hymns LP, you have to face 2 of the blighters at once. So when I first played this game, I died twice in this chapter because of these absolute monsters. They're also even more sods because they've got a move where they grab you and start kind of sucking the energy out of you. So if you want to get a kind of pure platinum on this, good luck. So basically I decided I am not chancing it at all. I am just going to use the wonderful shield lollipops so that they can't hurt me at all. Because I am not going to put up with that at all. And what's even worse is that, well, it's not that bad, but it does end up feeling a little bit cheap. This is the only 2 verses where they appear in the normal campaign. So not only are you kind of introduced to these monstrous enemies, you aren't given the time to learn how to deal with them at all, because they're there and they're gone. It's the same with Phantasmarine. Literally, that is the only verse where he is an enemy in the main story. So it's just like... what? And really, it matches into my problems with Bayonetta 2. In that its pacing is off. I mean, a lot of people I think have said that they feel that the pacing is better than Bayonetta 1. I resoundingly disagree with that. It's a better pace for just playing straight through the game, and also for replaying through the game. But for first experience, it's really off-putting. Because enemies are introduced and vanish almost immediately. You get to near Fimbulventer, then you're taken away from Fimbulventer. Then you spend ages trying to get into Hell, then you're in Hell, then we're going to be out of Hell. And it's a whole... there's not a nice, simple, progressive journey. So Bayonetta 1, even though you had moments where you got taken back to places, there was still this standard progression. So you moved through Vigrid, and then you went to the Colosseum, and then you moved to new places. Whereas you end up with this sort of weird, just like, we're nearly there, now we're not, we're nearly there, now we're not, and just, it keeps doing that. And with the whole introducing enemies like that, I don't know whether you heard the click, I'll do it again. Appearing like that, and then vanishing. Because we had Valor in chapter 6, who was just, it was a boss chapter, and suddenly he was there, and suddenly he was gone. Then we had the Resentments, which is an incredibly apt name for them. So they just appear, and 2 verses, they're gone. We've got another enemy coming up a little bit later on, which hardly ever appears again. It's insane. I mean, I believe that if you play the game on the hardest difficulty, which is Infinite Climax, then yes, they will appear more times. But in the normal mode of the game, and even in Third Climax, which is what you would call the hard mode, even then, it's not... it doesn't turn up. Which is just like... oh. Anyway, it is time for us to enter another Muspelheim. Which is great. Oh god, it said don't get hit. Then against Greed, this is a particular challenge. Now, something that is very important to bring up is that this Angelic Hymns Gold LP gives us what is one of the best weapons in the game. Why do I say that, and what is it? Well, it's Salamandra, which I don't know whether we'll be running into an entrance to the gates of hell now, or whether we'll be getting it at the beginning of the next part. But basically it's a pair of chainsaws, which are glorious. And I mean, they are amazing. They can rack up combos like no other. And while it doesn't have a Wicked Weave, it's incredibly powerful, and when used in conjunction with Undine, it's the closest thing to a Durga Kilgore glitch, as was seen in the original game. Because basically what you do is you freeze your enemy, and then you Umbral Climax and use the Salamandra to kind of chainsaw away, and combo points are through the roof. And here we have the other new enemy, Sloth, who, as an enemy, is really cool, but he is a bit mean because he really likes to dodge, and is basically one of the enemies that I think on the hardest difficulty, Infinite Climax, essentially requires witch time to effectively defeat. It's basically because he's really quick and really dodgy and all that jazz. He's a monster. But I think that this is actually the only verse where he appears in the normal mode. I could be wrong in that, but basically after this point, well, after this chapter ends, we kind of are going to be getting out of hell quite quickly. Oh yes, we have another run-in with a Sloth, but that's it. And yeah, it's slightly odd. You get 2 verses with him and then never again. Unless you play other bits of the game, which I'll be going into later. But I think this is our penultimate Umbran resting place. Requires a lot of running, I have to say. And because it requires a lot of running, it is potentially quite challenging. But I will say that it's not the hardest. The hardest is yet to come. Now, moving back to Salamandra, the wonderful chainsaws that we are about to get. Basically, they most likely get the name from Salamander, because Salamandra is a genus of that. And in medieval and Renaissance lore, salamanders were lizards that had a supernatural affinity with the element of fire. Not quite sure why that leads to chainsaw, but okay, fair enough, I'm not going to dramatically complain. But something that's quite a fun thing is that, so in the first game, one of the things that Rodin would say when you went into the gates of hell was, no matter how much you ask, I'm not putting a chainsaw on your arm. Now what do you want? And with Salamandra, he's kind of broken that promise, because he's given chainsaws to put on our arms. And our feet, which is even better because then you sort of ride around on them. It's amazing. And also because we're going into a boss chapter next time, so to kind of just make sure you know what's going on, the Golden Hymns LP is the Matthäus Passion o Haupt voll Blut und Wunden. I'm not quite sure where the second part of the title comes from, but basically the St. Matthew's Passion is written by Bach. And it's like massive. Because I think, yeah, it's just huge. And it's probably one of the most famous songs out there. Like classical music, it is very, very, very famous. And I believe that this particular LP is only a kind of small part of it. I'm just kind of trying to locate which bit it is. Ah, so it is the part 54, which is the chorale, which comes relatively near the end of the kind of 68 elements song. It's massive, but yes, this kind of 54th section, which is said that they went so specific. But basically, it means, "Oh, sacred head, now wounded." I think. Yes. So, I mean, I guess, kind of, no idea how that quite relates to chainsaws, but fair enough. But now we've got verse 12, which is the penultimate verse of the chapter, and it's also really difficult. Because we have to face off against 2 pains, which is already a challenge, because even though a single pain on its own isn't bad, facing down 2 can be really annoying, because they get in the way, because they're really big. Not as big as other enemies, but as you can see, I keep getting hit because wonderful Mr. Other Pain off in the distance just likes shooting at me. And just keeps hitting me because I suck at dodging. Now, I'm pretty sure that when... Oh, no, never mind. He's still shooting at us even when he was off screen. That's a bit of a failure on Don-san's part. Because one of the things that the original Bayonetta did, which was really good, was that enemies didn't attack you from off screen unless there was a kind of major audio cue. And I think there are moments where Bayonetta 2 kind of failed in that. It's frustrating, because it's something that the Wonderful 101 did as well. It had enemies that rather irritatingly decided, yeah, I'm going to attack you when you can't see me or really hear me. And it's something that I'm pretty sure that they tried to consciously avoid in the original Bayonetta, so I'm not quite sure why they rescinded on that here, or whether it was just something that got slightly overlooked. Either way, it's a dick move. But thankfully, the verse is over, and we can finish chapter 10 and head over and try and save Jeanne, because, you know, she's kind of been sitting around doing naffle for quite a while now. I think she needs to be saved. The annoying thing is it's quite a run to get back to where we need to be. Because that first takes place where you fought Phantasmarine. But we need to be all the way over the other side. She's just like, oh my god. And I'll also point out that I know that I haven't covered Jeanne's voice actress yet. I will do. I mean, people have probably been screaming at me for parts and parts. Just be like, what about Jeanne? But I will cover her, don't worry. It'll just probably be in a few parts' time. And hello, Rodin.
Fancy finding a witch like you in a place like this.
Rodin, don't tell me you came here to rescue me, like some kind of knight in shining armor.
Rescue? Do I look like the rescuing type? If you were to kick the bucket here, I'd be all over your soul like a hungry hyena.
And so we get to ride an Insidious,
Right. I'll go easy.
which is quite cool.
So let's have some fun.
And what's really awesome is you get to fight alongside Rodin. This is a really easy verse, and it's also incredibly fun. The main challenge you're going to have is keeping that combo score going, because, as you can see, Rodin is insanely powerful. Like, ridiculously, insanely powerful. He so much as punches an enemy, they practically die. So you've got to make sure you are on it with attacking these guys if you want that combo score to go up. Because Rodin ain't going to wait around. Also, this verse really doesn't last very long at all. Particularly because when you start getting to these big enemies, Rodin is just gonna absolutely tear them to shreds. And also because when you kind of spin around to look the other way, you can see that we are very rapidly approaching our destination. And the boss that awaits, which is going to be absolutely amazing. Yeah, that's how much damage Rodin can do. It's insane. But there we go.
We're here.
That is where we need to go.
Jeanne, there she is.
Hold up. You're not seriously thinking of getting between a man and his next payday. Chill, Bayonetta. Don't go shooting up my target, you dig? I need that one intact.
You've been naughty.
Oh yes! Pure Platinum! Love it when a plan comes together. But with that, Chapter 10 is complete. I think just about managed to keep the Platinum. I think it was a close one. But it's time to head on to Chapter 11. And a boss. Oh, I'm so excited.